Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for tuning in to the Super Barley Brothers podcast, where four middle-aged fathers discuss a range of nerdy things, including craft beer, video games, comics, movies, tech, and so forth. We hope you enjoy the show.
This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. We have no affiliation with any companies, individuals, or properties mentioned herein. Any trademarks or copyrights utilized belongs to those entities that it is associated with.
Okay, there we go. Now we're up and running. Hello, everybody. This is me, Ian, and
your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys, he scared the crap out of me when I first saw that show up. So this is just a quick one-off, probably 20-30 minutes. Hopefully we can... Oh. just gonna let that ring there for a minute. We're just doing a quick one-off. Me and Jerry recently watched Amazing Spiderman 2, and we just wanted to get a quick conversation in about our thoughts and feelings about it. Just kind of run down everything and let you guys know what we thought. We're going to try to avoid spoilers, but it might not happen. So consider this a blanket spoiler warning. If you haven't seen the movie and you give a shit about spoilers, you might want to stop watching, listening, reading. I don't know. We do a lot of...
And you know, if you read the comics, know about the comics, then it's not really a spoiler. There you go.
Exactly. If you know anything about the lore of Spider-Man, nothing's too terribly spoilerific about this movie. But first things first, let's do our basic intro. You go first.
Franconia Dunkel.
Nice.
Yeah, I like those sampler packs at Kroger. What can I say? I don't know. The mask got a little stuffy, so I had to take it off. So sorry about that. I'm not gonna. And plus, I can't drink with it on. So.
Oh, you can always do the up around the mouth thing, like.
Yeah, the neck on this thing, it doesn't work that way.
No.
Basically, what it would do.
Autoerotic asphyxiation.
Anyways, what are you drinking?
All right, so I'm having. This is my first time having the St. Arnold's lawnmower. Yeah, lawnmower. I got one of these from a buddy of ours last time we were all together. He told me to take it, so I'm gonna take it.
Is it the spring seasonal? Is that what the lawnmower is, or is it summer seasonal?
It's a very good question. I don't know.
Cool. Glad I asked.
Yeah, I'm knowledgeable when it comes to beers. Seriously, I lie about lots of things, but that's not one. I should probably fill some time and show this off as I pour it.
Head.
That's uncomfortable.
That's not awkward.
No, not at all. When there's two guys talking, yeah. Not at all. Okay, so out of the two of us, I think you had the better reception to the movie, so why don't we go ahead and let you begin, and then I'll close it out.
So just like two separate points of views.
Yeah.
If you feel like stopping me discussing something, then let's do that.
Okay.
To preface it, my outside the movies, my knowledge of Spider-Man really comes from the '90s comic book series and the cartoon, the Spider-Man cartoon, with that cool intro. Spider-Man. Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, with the guitar. Yeah.
Yeah. Was Slash the one that did that? It was a famous guitarist that did it. Can't remember if it was Slash or some. I gotta look that up.
It was probably Jerry Cantrell, maybe. I don't know.
I'll look it up. So when we're talking about a movie that I want to see, like Spider-Man or X-Men or Guardians of the Galaxy, pretty much any comic book movie or sci-fi movie, I try to avoid the reviews. But of course, you've got Facebook, you've got Twitter, and stuff just happens to leak through, right? I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the reviews that were out there for Spider-Man. There was a lot of negative reviews for The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I overall thought it was a good movie. In comparison to the other trilogy with Tobey Maguire and with Andrew Garfield, now that we're into the second movie now, Tobey I thought was good for the first movie. I think he did really good with the nervous side of Peter Parker, pre-Spider-Man, and then discovering his powers and everything like that. However, with Andrew Garfield as the actor, I think for today's day and age, he's a little bit more hip. as a Peter Parker, still an ostracized kid, just because of, brains or whatever. But I think Andrew did a really good job with the fun part of Spider-Man. The quick retorts and the fun that he has as Spider-Man. So overall, I really think that him as Spider-Man and then Emma Stone as Gwen I thought it was really good. They had a lot of electricity on the screen. Oh, pun number one. Actually, Gwen, she's a very strong woman, and I think she really came out in this movie. As she wasn't like the damsel in distress like they had Mary Jane in the first three movies. First movie, I get it, but 3 movies, and so Emma was a very strong actress. She portrayed Gwen as a very strong woman, even though she had lost her father in high school, the early part of high school or whatnot, but she came across pretty strong, and they had some really good connection, Peter / Spider-Man and Emma. So I thought it was good from that standpoint. Electro, of course, they didn't go with the original type Electro, which was a green and yellow spandex. They went with the more ultimate Electro, which was the Dr. Manhattan style blue type stuff. Luckily, he was fully clothed, unlike Dr. Manhattan.
Yes, very much luckily, because I did not want to see Electric Dong hanging out.
You know what? I don't know the backstory with Electro, quite honestly. So I don't know how much they butchered it or how much they paid homage to it. So that aside, I thought Jamie did a fairly well job with, as Max, being the compulsive, obsessive person with Spider-Man, and then how that type of personality could quickly turn against his person that he's idolizing. I thought Jamie did that very well. I actually liked the way they did Jamie's voice, that little ruffled, like it's been electrified type voice. That was kind of cool little side thing, and the special effects around Jamie Foxx and everything like that with the electricity. It was very cool to look at on the big screen. I kind of like that. I don't like that. It wasn't a lot of screen time for the villains. This was really a story of Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy. Yeah, I didn't get the stats. I couldn't find them online or anything like that. But the screen time for Electro versus Green Goblin versus Rhino, it wasn't a lot.
Did we ever get clarification as to if that was Green Goblin or Hobgoblin?
I looked it up, and from what I've been reading, it's Green Goblin.
All right. To me, it looks more like a Hobgoblin, because Hobgoblin had the orange hood, and they gave him orange hair.
Yeah, I don't know. He was ugly as sin, I'll tell you that much.
Did you notice how many times he would spit when he was talking?
Well, imagine those dentures in your mouth, and I mean...
Oh, I don't have to. I've got nasty-ass teeth to begin with.
Oh, whatever. And I like and I dislike. I haven't really figured it out yet, but it's like... So, spoiler... right? Not really a spoiler if you're ever on the internet, but of course Sony desperately wants to keep their rights to the Spider-Man franchise, right? So they have to spit out a movie X amount of times a year, every 3 years or something like that. I don't know the official rules.
I think it's 4 years, every 4 years.
Okay, so they're talking about a Sinister Six spinoff, and you and I talked about this after the movie. I'm intrigued and I'm scared at the same time. And this particular movie definitely set that up. So what I'm kind of torn about is, do I like it or do I not like it, is the Oscorp factor. Everything is bad about Oscorp. I mean, absolutely horrible. Oscorp is the spawn of Satan, because down in the basement, there we go, all the Sinister Six stuff, right? You've got the Goblin suit, you've got the Rhino, you've got Vulture, you've got Dr. Octopus. Of course, that's 4. But then you got Electro, so that's 5. I didn't know who the 6th was. Did you see a 6th one?
No, but so as far as I can recall from the Sinister Six, because I was never a really huge Spider-Man fan, is that Venom fit one of the bills for that. And when they started talking about it, they openly stated that you're going to see a change in the lineup of the Sinister Six, and they're probably specifically referring to Venom, since he doesn't he hasn't appeared in the movies yet. They haven't done the storyline to bring him down, or that could be the story of it, is that Spider-Man will be the protagonist in it, but it will be primarily about the symbiote coming from Mars or space and fusing with him.
Yeah, if they go like the ultimate route, so on the ultimate route, Venom again comes from, I think, and I don't quote me too much on this, comes from, in the Ultimate Universe, it was actually a scientific experiment done by Eddie Brock's father and Peter Parker's father at Oscorp. Again, Oscorp being the spawn of Satan in this as far as enemy is concerned. So I can see them doing that, and like you saying, kind of making it more like a Sinister Five, and then all of a sudden at the end it becomes a Sinister Six or something when Spidey gets rid of the black symbiote and it goes to Eddie Brock, and Eddie joins the team at that point, and then you've got six. I mean, the original, I think you also had Mysterio come in. The Sinister Six was like a revolving door. Yeah, it's Mysterio. You had Kraven the Hunter. That would be cool to see on screen as Kraven. But I'd be fine with Venom too. I hope they do it a lot better than they did in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
I don't like, number one, they got the wrong build. I mean, that's like a Vin Diesel type build when you're talking about Venom. You need God, who's the guy that played Bane?
Oh man, I was just about to say a Tito Ortiz type of build.
Well, yeah, whatever, but it was not the build that they got in Spider-Man 3. You know, yeah, he was ripped, but he was scrawny. I mean, he was smaller than me.
He was the guy from that '70s show. Nobody looks at him and feels intimidated.
No, I mean, so the wrong casting on that, but that's a different movie. You know, and another reason why I liked these movies over the original is because they're starting with Gwen, just like they did in the original Spider-Man comic books, right? They're starting with Gwen. You're not getting Mary Jane at the beginning and getting her shoved down your throat. I liked that. I think Emma did a fantastic job, even though spoiler, even though I knew it was going to happen, the way, because of that chemistry that they had on set and they portrayed on screen, and the visual effect that they did with her, I was a little torn up inside, to be honest.
Oh, I'm going to go ahead and throw myself under the bus. I had big sopping tears rolling down my face, if that's what you're getting at.
No, that is. I mean, quite honestly, because even though I knew it was coming, the way that they did it, and the picture of it, I'm not going to reenact it, just the picture of her passing, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I'm not going to lie, I had a couple of those little type of things that I was trying to oh my God!
Like that throat, it starts hurting. You're like, don't talk. Nobody talk to me.
Trying to fight it down. Go away! I've got testicles. I'm not supposed to cry in a public place.
But yeah, so that's mine. I don't agree with 90% of the critics out there. I liked the movie, and I'm a Spider-Man fanboy. That might be it. But and it sounds like you've got a little bit different views. So that's my view. So let's talk about your view. Now, real quick, give your comic book background a little bit, so some people understand where you're coming from, getting into this. Like, what did you grow up on?
Okay, well,
Marvel Universe.
Yeah, that's very fair. Primarily, what I grew up on was the darker side of the comic books, the more anti-hero heroes. Primarily Ghost Rider, the Punisher, Wolverine when he was by himself. One of my favorite X-Men for all times is Gambit. So I followed him a lot when he had his spin-offs. Oh, excuse me. Magneto had his own spin-off back in the 90s.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep. I think I only bought like issue 1, but he had it. Sabretooth had his spin-off. The reason why I bought that whole thing though is because the artist that normally was doing the Ghost Rider Danny Ketch story at the time went off to do that before he left Marvel to go to Image to do Union. But a lot of it is, I like the darker side of comic book heroes myself. I mean, even tonight I'm wearing my smoky Punisher shirt. So, because I always try to have a shirt that goes along with some part of the conversation that we're having.
I guess I need to get on board with that as opposed to these plain T-shirts, huh?
I don't know. I mean, usually when we do these things is after my son's gone over to his mom's house, so I have time to look at my wardrobe, doll up my hair, all sorts of stupid shit.
Put on that stage makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Gaffer tape down all the wires.
Yeah. All right, thanks for the background. So go for it.
Okay.
Action.
So I'm going to go ahead and start on the negative before I get to the positive. One thing that I really disliked about Electro's character is anytime that there was action with him or he was moving around quite a bit, they threw in dubstep. I mean, it's effective. It makes sense. I understand why they did it, but dubstep needs to kind of start to fade quickly because you had Hans Zimmerman doing the score for this movie. You really shouldn't run him out. I mean, there's a good portion of that music that was really good, and then all of a sudden you got the blah wee 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 every time he's zipping around all over the place.
I do like Hans Zimmerman.
Yeah,
I'll agree with you on that.
Really good. He did the Batman trilogy, if I'm not mistaken, and also Inception, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another thing that I really want to point out, and this is a pseudo-spoiler warning, it's not really a spoiler, is a certain section that was shown in the trailers that was not shown in the movie.
Yeah, which one was that? You were telling... Sorry.
So what it was is there's the scene, if you go back and look at the trailers, there's a scene when Peter goes to Oscorp and meets up with Harry, and he displays out all the photos of him on that touch surface that he's using, and he says, Oscorp has been following you for about the last 6 years. And he asks, what for? And he goes, that's the question of the day. If you go back and think through the movie, you could see in your mind's eye when he's talking to him at Oscorp, that's where it would have been, but it wasn't there at all.
Right.
So, it's kind of one of those things where it's like they wrote it in, and then they're like, you know what? Nah, we're gonna put it in the trailer, but it doesn't work. Which I've seen that happen before, where something's in a trailer, but it's not in the final product.
Right. Well, speaking of that, real quick, let me go on a tangent. I was talking with another buddy of ours, and he has already seen this movie too, and he could have sworn that they were going to be hinting at Mary Jane in this.
See,
I didn't see that. Did you?
No. I understand why they didn't do it, because this movie, a lot of this movie, as you stated, was more about Gwen and Peter. I mean, you really had to get to a point where you wanted them to be on a certain level, and that's why you didn't get a lot of screen time with Electro, and you didn't get a lot of time with the Goblin. That is one of those aspects that I actually like about it, is that I really started to believe in these kids, and I wanted it to work. I wanted shit to turn out good for them. In fact, when I can't talk too much about it because I don't want to get into spoiler territory, but near the end of the movie where they make an agreement with each other, that I was like, that's awesome. Hurry up and get the fuck out of town.
Yeah, really. Don't stick around anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I know how long this movie is, and I know what's probably going to happen, which leads me into my next con. The foreshadowing in this movie was just so thick. I mean, knowing the story, I mean, granted, I was not a huge Spider-Man fan, but I know what happens to Gwen Stacy. I know what happens to Mary Jane. So it's one of these things where it's like in the first movie, near the end of it, when the obvious didn't happen, if you know what I'm hinting at, you're kind of like, well, okay, so I guess something's going to happen in the second movie, because they're obviously going to do a second movie. And then when they announce the second movie, I'm like, okay, I think I know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so, damn it, they spent the entire movie building up on it. There's some stuff early, before mid, early to mid.
And I think the biggest one was her graduation speech.
At the beginning, yes. It was very huge. And especially he goes back to it at the end of the movie. So, but let's see here. What else didn't I like about it? There were just some sections that in the story just seemed kind of rushed. I hate to steal words from my brother's own mouth, because he was there with us when we watched it. But again, the foreshadowing was very heavy-handed, and then the pacing was off. Now, I mean, if you really wanted to make this about Peter and Gwen, you needed to make it more about them. You should have established certain characters in a previous movie so that you could quickly rush through them being in the environment. Like, Harry was not referred to in the first movie as far as I can recall.
I don't remember it.
Me neither. And then all of a sudden they're bestest friends from years ago, and there was no mention of him. There was no photo of him. I mean, it could have been one of these things where in the first movie, if I don't remember that much about the first movie, but if Peter was getting down, he'd be like, well, remember your buddy Harry? I mean, when you guys were together, you guys were, always all over the place doing crazy stuff.
Yeah, even like a flashback probably would have set it up better, because, he had flashbacks back to his parents, and in this movie he referred to, hey, you were there for me, I'm going to be there for you. Now, granted, hindsight's always 20/20, but if they knew that they were going to go that route from the beginning, they should have at least flashbacked it to when he was a kid, like after the funeral. He's like, "Hey, Peter, I'm always there for you. Thanks, Harry," and that would have been perfect.
That would have been enough.
Yeah.
I agree with you there.
Hindsight's 20/20, right?
Exactly. You could rewrite a story after you have already written it. That's why you make director's cuts. So I mean that was an issue I had with it, because they had to rush through his intro. That's the same with, and this is not a spoiler because he's been in some of the trailers. This is the same with Rhino. I mean, it's like boom, here he is, boom, there he goes. That was it. It's like, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Stopping by. Let's see. I'm trying to get into all the cons because I do have some positive things I'd like to say about it. So here's the thing. I'm probably going to get flack from you and we'll probably get comments down in the comment section below that tell me I'm an idiot for saying this. But in the third Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, they made Peter Parker into a emo son of a bitch. Well, there was a little whiny bullshit that I saw in the Peter Parker in this movie. I mean, again, I don't want to go into specifics, but when you do this kind of stuff with somebody else, you can't tell me you being a whiny bitch. I mean, within the first 20 minutes, the dude is bawling over something. Okay?
I see where you're coming from. I don't think it was as bad as Spider-Man 3.
I'll give you that. It wasn't as bad.
No.
And I do give them credit for making Peter Parker more debonair now that he's in control of his powers, like at the early on in the graduation ceremony. You remember when he first showed up? Okay.
Yeah, and see, and going back to my con from like the first trilogy, I was fine with Tobey doing that in the first movie. Mm-hmm. But he kept it up in the second and third movie. That's what annoyed the crap out of me, is that Peter evolves. Now, they didn't start off Peter that way in the first movie with the Amazing, but you can see that his character's already evolved. Mm-hmm. And they did, and I don't think Tobey did that. And I don't know if it's Tobey's fault or if it was the writer's fault or whatever. I'm just saying that's how I feel. But anyways.
Well, but then again, also, I think when they were writing this particular Peter Parker, they understood that they wrote a different origin story for like the parents dropping him off at Aunt May's. I don't even remember what it was that had Peter ending up with them in the primary story or the original trilogy.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
In the trilogy, I don't.
And I can understand, even in the first movie, why this Peter Parker might have been a little bit stronger as a person, because he had to deal with that trauma at an early time in his life. I think they mentioned that he was 6 years old during this movie, which that kid did not look 6 to me.
He looked more 9 to me.
Yeah, I agree. He looked fairly older. Okay, but let's see here. What other cons do I have about it? So near the end, everything felt a little rushed. Like, after a certain point, and we all know what's going to happen next, and, if you're looking at your watch, we've got to be getting real close to the climactic ending. It's another one of the situations where it goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down, but it's like a heartbeat. It's a lot quicker near the end. I'm not saying that it's good. I'm just saying that it happens really, really fast after a certain point. One more con, and then we can go to bitching back and forth with each other if you want to. One more con I have is that we have all come to expect a certain Easter egg, a certain look forward to the next movie or something that they want to lay grounds for from these Marvel movies. Granted, I understand this is a Sony movie and this is not a Disney movie, so they're not doing it. But if you're going to piggyback on the idea and throw some little one-off bit of information in the credits, don't show me a scene from X-Men Days of Future Past. Show me something that has to do with Spider-Man. Like, I think there was one at the end of Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 1, if I'm not mistaken.
It was the guy in the hat, the same guy that was walking through the basement for the Sinister Six. I thought on Spider-Man 1 that was Norman, but if it's the same guy, I don't even know who it is, but it's some assistant to Harry now. But so it wasn't Norman in the first one. But yeah, they did that at the end. Yeah, but they didn't do anything like that. And we stayed until after all the credits. Yep,
until we got to the point where normally I would refer it to the blue screen of Get the Hell Out, but instead AMC drops a little ad or some stupid CG animation thing at the end of the movie. So instead of seeing the blue screen, it was just all of a sudden it popped into this, and then we got up and got out. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I enjoyed it. I liked it. When it got into action, good. It did it very well. I like the Spidey sense stuff that they did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when they slowed down time and then shot the camera all over the place, that was really cool. I thought that was interesting.
That was, and I didn't mention that I thought that was really, really cool, and I noticed that the most when Electro was first introduced.
Yeah.
And they were going up the stairs and whatnot. I thought that was it was really cool. And they did that a couple more times.
They did, and I thought it was a really good idea for reminding the audience, because the first thing they did is they looked at that damaged piece of equipment, and then they followed it up to the stairs so that you understood, okay, he's going to have to change how he does this because of that hindrance that he's got, in his way. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's a really enjoyable movie. I will be picking it up on Blu-ray when it comes out, partially because I'm a collector to those kind of things.
Yeah, me too.
In fact, I didn't have the funds to be able to collect the first phase of the Avenger movies when they were coming out, so I'm slowly going back and trying to get them on sale in Blu-ray format. They're constantly on sale in DVD format, but I want them on the Blu-ray format.
Definitely worth it.
Yep. I've also been looking at the briefcase thing for the Avengers that has all the Phase 1 movies and Avengers in it, but that's like $100, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Any other pros that you have with it that you want to mention?
No. I mean, I think all the actors and actresses did a really good job. I wouldn't say Oscar-worthy, but I mean they were really good. Comparatively to the previous trilogy, I thought this was a really good movie.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what we're trying to do, with this, I did a review earlier. We're kind of trying to put more content out there, when we can. Like, this was just me and Ian. Scott might be doing something. John might be doing something. We'll tag team or whatever. We'll still be doing the regular podcast every 2 weeks, but we're trying to get some more content out there. So this is like a 6.2 episode, with episode 7 coming up here shortly. So, let us know what you want to hear about. Hopefully the 4 of us will be hooking up sometime soon for X-Men, Days of Future Past. I heard that was awesome.
Yep,
so did I. I'm looking forward to that. They're already, of course, talking about Age of Apocalypse. Looking forward to that, honestly. 2 very good storylines. It'd be really awesome if they did Executioner Song 2. I'd like that storyline. But, we'll see. But yeah, so that's all we got. How about you? You done?
Just real quick, I just want to throw something out there since you brought up the Age of Apocalypse and wanting to see Executioner Song. If they're going to go into those, I would really like to see them go ahead and do multiple films for it, because I understand that most people are saying that Days of Future Past is good. Quit fighting me. That Days of Future... Sorry, my dog's right next to me. Days of Future Past is good. It's one of those things where it's like, man, that could have been like 2 or 3 movies where you have like the first class guys, then you have the current guys, and then you have like a combination of. Of course, I don't know the story well enough to be even thinking if I'm speaking in the right lines, but I mean that would be a good way to milk some money out of it.
What I think that they were doing, I think that they were using the first X-Men trilogy as the prequels, and then the First Class more as not a reboot but a prequel, and so this Days of Future Past is like a prequel sequel.
Okay.
That's the way I understood it, and that's why they. Now, still, there's a lot of characters being introduced in this movie, right?
Right.
There's still a lot going on, but I think that was the justification, was that, the two Wolverine movies and the 3 X-Men trilogy movies, it's all in the same timeline. It's just we jumped around time a little bit, so that's the way I understood it. But yeah, I mean, if we're talking like Executioner Song, I mean, you got to introduce people, I think, from like X-Force and X-Factor. I think it went across all 3 X's, so that might be stretching it, but, whatever.
Very true, very true. One last thing I want to throw out there is that Netflix is actually doing a Daredevil series that's going to be a Netflix original thing, so kind of keep an eye out for that as well.
Live action?
Live action, I think.
Oh, cool.
Pretty sure it's live action. I haven't really looked all that far into it. My dad actually sent me an email because he's on this Marvel mailing list where they send him a bunch of information, so he sent that to me.
Cool.
But other than that, damn you, dog. Other than that, that's pretty much all I got. I will not be on the next podcast. Starting soonish. I'm going to be out of town, and I'm probably not going to be in town when the guys do it. So the next podcast that you see is probably just going to have 3 of these guys.
There's not a sad sound effect, really.
No. Oh, there's the whoa.
I don't know.
Can't end an episode without me flipping you off.
Nope. He said end, everybody. He said end. All right.
Okay, well, that's pretty much it. I am Ian. You can find me on Twitter at Fiend75002. That's also what you can find me as on Twitch. And if you have an Xbox One or an Xbox 360, you can follow me or friend me there. I'll probably just let you follow me through the Xbox One because I don't accept any more friend requests on the 360. Where can we find you? You're muted.
Twitter, JD_Shep. That is my Twitter, where I tweet about the twats.
You're married. You don't get to tweet about the twats.
I thought that was past tense for tweeting.
That's my job.
Oh, that's embarrassing. I'm not hip with these new terms. I still have a MySpace account, so whatever.
Yeah, I do too. I never went back and deleted it, so we're all good. I think I still have a Friendster account somewhere out there. I'm old.
Friendster is so old it's hipster now.
I like it. I love it. Okay, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we do appreciate you swinging by and watching this one-off. Well, not a one-off. I mean, just an offshoot of episode 6. This will be probably 6.2. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So this will be 6.2. We appreciate you swinging by. Feel free to look us up. We're on Facebook /groups/Super Barley Brothers. Look us up on YouTube under Super Barley Brothers /
And by brothers, we mean BROS.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for that clarification. But other than that, this has been fun. We appreciate you checking us out, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Jerk.
Adios. You've been listening to the Super Barley Brothers podcast. Join the conversation utilizing Super Barley Bros on WordPress, Podbean, YouTube, Google+, Gmail, and on their Facebook group. On iTunes, Super Barley Brothers. Leave any kind of comments, questions, suggestions, concerns, etc. Individually, we can be reached on Twitter, Jerry, JD_Shep, Ian, Fiend75002, also on Twitch, John, Phoenix42, that's PH03NIX42, and Scott, Flip42, FL1P42, also on Twitch. See you in a couple weeks.